The Berlin Airlift by Alan Ho, Austin Gonzalez, Christian Beckett, and Ricky Binsley. At the end of World War II, Germany was invaded by the Allied powers. The East was occupied by the Soviet Union, and the West was occupied by the British, French, and Americans. When the war ended, Germany was broken up into 4 separate zones which would be administered by these countries. But not only was the entire country broken up, so was the capital city of Berlin, since it was, the capital. What's important to note is that Berlin was in the very center of East Germany, which was controlled by the Soviets. It was completely surrounded by Soviet-influenced German land. This meant that the western half of Berlin, which was controlled by the Western powers, was hundreds of miles away from West Germany.
General information. The great distance became problematic in the future years of the occupancy, as the Allies had created a new currency to be used in the western portion of Berlin, the Deutsche Mark. As a response to the mark, and to express the displeasement of the creation of this new currency, the Soviet Union, in early 1848, issued a blockade that limited the West's access to railways, roads, and canals out to the western portion of Germany. In turn, many of those in West Berlin were left without resources, and the Allied forces, headed by General Lucius de Clay of the Americans, were forced to begin an airlift in late June of that year, but other ways to transfer resources were unable to keep up with the needs of those dependent on the democratic nations. This airlift carried supplies over the blockade to West Berlin, and it turned out to be widely successful, as the Soviets did not want to start conflict with the Allied forces and their collective air forces, who, altogether, were able to move over 3,500 tons of aid across the blockade.
Short-term effects. The Soviet Union lifted the blockade imposed on West Berlin on May 12, 1949. This came after a year of the blockade being imposed on it. The Soviets eventually gave up because their strategy of starvation didn't work. Along with the removal of the blockade, tensions increased around the Cold War, alluding to the weakness of the Soviet Union viewed by the rest of the world. Even though the blockade was lifted, Allied forces continued to send in air supplies in the next 4 months to ensure a buildup of stocks in case the Soviets ever decide to reimpose the blockade.
Long-term effects. In the decades to come, Berlin would experience major changes both politically and economically. The Berlin blockade and airlift would make West Germans less receptive to communist attempts at taking West Berlin, and it reassured the people of the strength of capitalism by providing proof of its success through consumer goods. It would be acknowledged as one of the first conflicts between Western powers and Soviet communists, perhaps even being seen as the conception of the Cold War. However, in 1962, the Berlin Wall was built around West Berlin, encircling half the city and becoming a defining symbol of communism to the world. In the end, life in West Berlin wasn't much better than the rest of East Germany.